Daf Ayin Beis Amud Aleph will begin Ayin Aleph Amud Beis right at the bottom with the two dots. Amar Ula Leman Amar Hashem Varid Loi Boy Yediyah B'Tchila. Ula says that according to the Man Damru says an Hashem Toloi does not require, an Hashem Vadai rather, does not require a Yediyah, does not require a knowledge that the person is Chayev, the Korban Hashem, prior. The following scenario will ensue. So, the din is that a person, there's an Oshem Vadai, if a person is, there's an Oshem Gzelus, an Oshem Me'ilah, a person is Moyel, he partakes from Hektish, and Oshem Shifra Charufa, if a person has relations with a Shifra who was designated for an Evet Ivri. Then he brings a Korban Oshem. There's an Oshem Toli. An Oshem Toli is for a Sofik Avera. So, for instance, if a person, he has a sofek, did he eat the chelav or shuman? Was it chelav? There's two pieces. Was it chelav or shuman? He brings an oshem toloi, and if he finds out, if and when he finds out that in fact he ate the chelav, he brings a chatas. If a person had a sofek, if he was moyel, if what he partook was, did he take something, did that belong to hektish or not? He has a sofek. Rabbi Kiva says, similarly to a case by a chatas, he brings an Oshem Toloi, and if he finds out that he was moyel, and he in fact was moyel, he brings an Oshem Mielus, an Oshem Vale. Rabbi Tarfon says, why are we obligating this person to bring two korbanos? Let him bring this Oshem and make a Tanai and say if he was moyel and if he's really chayev a Korban Me'ilas and Oshem Vadai, this should be for his Oshem Me'ilas. And if he not, then this will be his Oshem Toli. It'll be an Oshem Toli. And the money, the Keren V'Chaimish, if a person is moil, he has to bring an Oshem and pay Keren V'Chaimish. If he's Chayev, this will be for his obligation, for his Chayev. If not, it'll be an Adova. So Rabbi Tarfon says, why obligate him to bring a second korban? Bring the one korban, make it al tanai, and it's the same animal that's brought for an Oshem Toli and an Oshem Vadai. It's the same animal that's brought. So make a tanai for it. So therefore, according to Rabbi Tarfon, to bring an Oshem, one does not need a Yediyah. He does not have to know for certain. He does not have to have a yediyah that he was oiver this aver and he's obligated to bring this korban. It's not required for an Oshem, it's not a prerequisite to have a yediyah that he knows for certain that he was oiver and he's required to bring this korban. Because we see he can bring it out tonight. So therefore, according to Rabbi Tarfon, the yediyah, the knowledge, is not a prerequisite and therefore not so choshev. Therefore, the following will result from that. So he says, according to Rabbi Tarfon, says, Oshem Varid Loi Boy Yediyah B'Tchila, if a person is bol Chamish Be'ilas B'Shifra Charufa, if he had relations 5 times he was boiled with a Shifra Charufa, a Shifra that was designated for an Evet Ivri. So having relations with her is not like an Eishes Ish, it's not like a regular case of Eishes Ish because she is a Shifra, and she doesn't have the halachas of kedushin and the suin of bas chayrin. It's a lav, and there's a chiyuv of a korban. Person has to bring who had relations with, he has to bring a korban, and even b'mezit, and he brings a b'shoigig. Now, this if he does it even 5 times, it brings one korban. He brings one korban. The question over here is if he had a knowledge between each time that he was boil, if he had a knowledge of the Avera and a knowledge of the Chiyuv Korban, does that separate, does that segregate it? Or is it not, and it's still considered one Helem, and he brings one Korban? Do we say over now, we know in a case, for instance, of a Chatas, if a person ate Chelev, and he knew that he ate chelev and he's chayev to bring a korban, and then he ate again a piece of chelev, he forgot and he ate again, and then he had a knowledge and he ate again, he's chayev a separate korban for each act of eating. But the question over here is shifcha charufa. Over here, The chiyuv is an asham, and we know that a person is, for many acts of bia with a shivcha charufa, he's only chayav one korban. However, the question is a yediyah, would a yediyah be machalik? If he knows, if he has knowledge of it between each ma'aseh bia, will that segregate it and obligate him for a separate korban? So, according to the Man Domer, that a shivcha, that an asham vadai needs a yediyah. According to Rabbi Kiva, so the yediyah, the knowledge, is an integral part. It's a prerequisite of bringing the korban. So it's an integral part of bringing the korban. The yediyah is choshev. So certainly, according to Rabbi Kiva, if he had a knowledge between each ma'aseh bia, we would say that's machalik. It separates it, and he has to bring a separate korban for each ma'aseh bia. If he did not know between the ma'aseh, he had 5 ma'aseh bias without a knowledge in between, it'd be 1 korban. But according to Rabbi Kiva, if he had a knowledge between each one, the yediyah is cheshuva. It's a prerequisite, so that would separate. The question is, according to Rabbi Tarfon, where yediyah is not a prerequisite, it's not so chashiv, will that also separate it, or will we say that no, it suffices 1 korban? So he says, Ula says that according to the Man Domer that according to Rabbi Tarfon, he says it's only 1 chiyuv korban, since the yediyah is not so chashiv. Therefore, it's considered 1 helam, and he's only chayiv 1 korban. How can you say that? If a person has a bia with her and vehifresh, and he's mafresh a korban, and chazer a ball, and then vehifresh korban, and you're going to say his ball, and then he's mafresh a korban, are you going to say that also that he only has to bring 1 korban? If he's boil, he's mafresh a korban, he's boil again. Are you going to say that he is not required to bring another korban? Certainly, the hafrosh of a korban would separate the acts and would not be considered 1 helam, and he would be chayiv for each ma'isa separate korban. So are you going to tell me, and he says, wait, and he says, wait till I'm boil again before bringing the korban, and he does another ma'isa bia? Are you going to say that he was mafresh prior to the ma'aseh bia is going to, now he can be yoitze with that korban? No, you're talking about a ma'aseh bia after the hafrosha's korban. Ma'aseh delachar hafrosha lo kamina. I never intended that it should be the ma'aseh bia that's after he's mafresh a korban. My intention is that if he has a yediyah, he wasn't yet mafresh the korban. He just had knowledge that he was chayiv a korban, and then he's boil again. He does not need a separate korban for that. But if he's mafresh an animal for the korban after the 1 ma'aseh bia, the next ma'aseh bia would require a separate korban. I would agree with that. But according to Rav Tarfon, that yediyah is not choshev. He says the yediyah, the knowledge of a chiyuv korban, will not segregate the ma'asim, and after all the ma'asim, he only brings 1 korban. He also Rav Dimi, now he mentions another point, another aspect of the shivcha harufa. He says, Ki also Rav Dimi Omar Laman Damar Asham Vari Boyedi Betchila. He says, according to Rabbi Kiva, that says an Asham Vari does require a Yediyah Betchila. He does have to have knowledge that he was over in order to bring the korban. You can't bring it al Tanai, you can't bring it al Sofek. Therefore, he says, according to that, according to him, if he was boil a 5 bias in shivcha harufa, he'll be chayav for each ma'aseh bia. If he had apparently, we're saying, the Mora seems to be saying, the Havamin is that if he had a knowledge, if he had a yediyah between each ma'aseh bia, that would segregate it, that would separate it, and be mechayev him a korban for each ma'aseh bia. It would not be considered helam echad, it would be chayev a korban for each ma'aseh bia. Amalei Abaya, how can you say that? Harei chatas to be in yediyah betchila. Korban chatas. It does require a yediyah. In order to bring korban chatas, he has to know that he's chayev. It does require yediyah, and yediyah is choshev. And nevertheless, upligi Rabbi Yochanan Rishon ben Lakish. And nevertheless, we learned the previous Amud that they argue. Rabbi Yochanan and Rishon ben Lakish argue if a person ate 2 kazesim of chelev, v'helam echad, and then he found out about one and he found out about the other. So Rav Yochanan says he's chayev 2 korbanos, he's chayev shtaim, and Rish Lakish says it's only chayev achas. So you see that even though a chatas, the yediyah is significant, it's choshev, and one requires the yediyah prior to bringing the korban. Nevertheless, Rish Lakish says the yediyah after the fact is not machalik. Ishtek, he was quiet. Perhaps, maybe what he means is, maybe what you mean is with a maisa that's after hafrosha, that we're talking where after the maisa bia, he not only had knowledge of the chiv korban, he was mafresh, he set aside an animal, he was mafresh an animal for the korban. There we say it's significant, and it will separate the ma'asim, will segregate it, and he's chayv over there, a separate korban for each ma'asabiyah. Perhaps that's what you mean in that case. Look at Rav Amnuna, like Rav Amnuna says, Amar le'in. Yes, he said, yes. So therefore, in summary, the Gemara says the following. Everyone agrees in the case of Shiva Charufa. The Gemara will explain what that means shortly. And everybody agrees. In a different case, in a separate case of Shiva Charufa, machlokes by Shiva Charufa. And in a third case, there's a machlokes by Shiva Charufa. Where is it that everyone agrees by Shiva Charufa? So you only chayv 1 kedula. Meaning, according to Rabbi Tarfon, who says that a yediyah is not required for an osham, so the yediyah is not significant, it's not so choshev. Therefore, he'll say, even if the person had a yediyah between each ma'isa bia, and he's boiled 5 bias of shiva charufa, and even if he had a yediyah between each ma'isa bia, and he knew he was chayav a korban, nevertheless, he's only chayav. Both Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish would agree that he's only chayav 1 korban. Even Rabbi Yochanan would agree he's only chayav 1 korban because Rabbi Tarfon says by an osham the yediyah is not a prerequisite, so it's not that significant and therefore will not be machalik. And everyone also agrees in a different case of shiva charufa the chayav kolachs v'achas that he is chayav a separate korban for each ma'isa bia. That is, if after each ma'isa bia, not only he knew about the chiyuv korban, but he also was mafresh an animal for the korban, that's a significant factor, and that segregates the different ma'isa bias. It's not considered one helam, they're considered separate acts, and he's chayiv a korban for each one of the ma'isa bias. Umachlokes b'shiv charufa, and then there's a case when there's a machlokes in shiv charufa. What's the machlokes? Laman damer asham vari b'yediyah betchila. According to Rabbi Kiva, who says an asham also requires a yediyah, that knowledge that he's chayav a korban in order to bring the korban. So yediyah is a significant factor. It's a prerequisite for bringing the korban, and therefore it's a significant factor according to Rabbi Kiva. In such a case where he had a knowledge between each ma'isa bia, then that's machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Rishon ben Lakish. There we have the machlokes of Rabbi Yochanan and Rishon ben Lakish. According to Rabbi Yochanan, he says the yediyah would be machalik, and therefore he's chayav a korban for each ma'isa bia. According to Rish Lakish, the yediyah is not that significant a factor and will not be machalik, and he's chayav only 1. Everyone would agree that by shiv charufa, if he's boiled chomesh bilas with no knowledge of a chiv korban in between each ma'isa bia, then he's only chayav 1 korban. But if he had a yediyah, he had a knowledge between each ma'isa, according to Rabbi Yochanan, the shitas Rabbi Kiva, that yediyah is choshev, that yediyah is a prerequisite to bring the korban, yediyah is choshev, therefore he would say that yediyah is machalik, it's not considered one helam, and he's chayav a separate korban for each ma'isa bia. But according to Rish Lakish, just like Rish Lakish says by the case of shnei zeisei chelev, that he found out about one and then found out the other one, he says it's not machalik. Here also would not be machalik, and he's only chayav 1 korban.